Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
House prosecutors say they are fully prepared for the upcoming impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte.
The NBI says Senator Bato de la Rosa is presumed armed and dangerous as tracker teams move to locate and arrest him.
More ICC arrest warrants may soon be issued against alleged co-perpetrators of former President Rodrigo Duterte in the drug war case.
Search and rescue operations continue following the collapse of a 9-story commercial building under construction in Angeles City, Pampanga.
First in the news, House prosecutors say they are more than ready to present their case against Vice President Sara Duterte before the Senate Impeachment Court. Here's the report.
The House 11 panel prosecution team is ready, more than ready, 150% ready to face the impeachment court and present their evidences.
This was emphasized by House Prosecution Panel spokesperson and Lanao del Sur 1st District Representative Zia Alonto Adyong regarding the impending trial of Vice President Sara Duterte. The Senate has already convened as an impeachment court, and the actual trial may begin on July 6. According to Senator Tito Soto, the trial will initially be held every Monday through Wednesday starting at 2 p.m. However, after the SONA, proceedings are expected to accelerate. Mondays will be allotted for regular Senate sessions, while the impeachment trial will be conducted Tuesday through Thursdays starting at 3 p.m.
Sinusunod namin kung ano man ang alituntunin na i-adapt ng korte, nirerespeto namin ito at sa amin naman ay handa naman kami kung maski anong araw, maski anong oras o gaano kadalas yung magiging impeachment trial na yun naman ay desisyon ng ating Senado na natatayong impeachment court.
The House Prosecution Panel also believes that all senator judges should be physically present during the trial and voting proceedings. This comes after Senator Rodante Marcoleta proposed amending Senate rules to allow senators who are absent from the session to participate or vote online.
Because it is indispensable to arrive into a fair judgment for a senator on the merits of the case without having to physically evaluate and examine the evidences and to direct cross-examine witnesses who would be in the witness stand. This is not just an ordinary legislative function where pwede kang mag-Zoom o pwede kang mag-remotely vote. No? Ito, pinag-uusapan dito, accountability ng isang impeachable officers.
Political scientist Cleve Arguelles echoed the same sentiment.
It would be a disservice to their duty as senator judges, no? Kung hindi sila magpa-participate physically and fully doon sa impeachment trial. Kung yung ating mga kababayan nga ay sinasabi nila na hindi pa nila naiintindihan ng masyado yung ebidensya, kulang pa yung impormasyon nila, siguro yung expectation nila sa senator judge is that they have to be there to fully understand everything para magawa talaga nila yung duty nila to assess whether to convict or acquit the Vice President.
Adyong also added that at least 5 private prosecutors will voluntarily assist the House prosecution team. One of them is Attorney Lorna Capunan.
Naniniwala sila na ang pinanggagalingan nito ay ang konstitusyon. Sabi ko nga, lahat tayo stakeholders, mas lalo na ang legal community. Pag lawyer ka, talagang kailangan mo ring protektahan ang konstitusyon at make sure na talagang na-implement ng maayos ang ating mga batas.
And for more updates from the House of Representatives, we have mobile journalist Amy Atienza. Amy, kumusta na ang preparations ng House Prosecution Panel sa impeachment complaint against the Vice President?
Good morning, Angela, Diego. Nasabi nga din ni House Justice Committee Chairperson at syempre yung mangunguna din ng 11-member House Prosecution Panel na si Representative Jervy Luis Trono na nag-conduct na rin sila ng mock trials para daw sa pagsisimula nitong impeachment trial laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte ay handa na rin yung mga kongresista, yung mga mambabatas na syempre magpepresenta nitong mga articles of impeachment laban nga kay VP Sara. Bukod pa dyan, nasabi na rin naman at narinig na din natin sa report na kahit nga may changes daw in leadership pagdating sa Senado, dapat daw hindi ma-derail yung process of impeachment pagdating nga dito sa kaso ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Ang mahalaga rin daw kasi, no, Angela, Diego, pagdating nga dito, no, ay makita yung mga pieces of evidence na angkop nga daw at maaari din daw kasi itong makaapekto, no, pagdating sa eleksyon sa 2028, lalo na dahil naanunsyo din ng Vice Presidente ang kanyang nais na tumakbo para nga sa pagkapangulo naman. So yan yung mga aabangan pa natin na developments pagdating dito sa end ng House of Representatives. No? Pero tuloy-tuloy ang nagiging preparasyon. Maya-maya asahan din natin, no, na makakapanayam din natin yung ilan pa sa mga miyembro ng House Prosecution Panel. Pero bukod pa dyan, syempre marami rin, no, na pinaabangan din dito, no, sa Kamara pagdating nga dun sa mga preparations din sa ibang measures na gusto nila i-prioritize. Maya-maya lamang makikita natin na magkakaroon din ng marcha pagdating nga doon sa panawagan ng Senior Citizen Party List dito sa Kamara tungkol doon sa universal pension pagdating nga sa mga senior citizens. So yun pa yung mga inaasahan natin na activities na mangyayari at yun nga, abangan lang din natin yung mga developments na mangyayari pagdating nga sa impeachment. Angela, Diego?
Well, of course, aside from mock trials sa ginagawa ng House Prosecution Panel, they've also discussed the pre-marking of the evidence, no? Can you tell us more about it para sa ating viewers?
Yes, actually, tiningnan kasi makikita natin, no, sa articles of impeachment may 4 yan. So na-classify yan into the confidential funds, the unexplained wealth, doon sa bribery, pati na rin yung grave threats ni VP Sara. So tiningnan nila yung mga nakapaloob na pieces of evidence nga doon sa allegation na nakalagay doon sa article of impeachment. At doon na nila tiningnan kung sino nga ba yung pwede nilang makitang witness para nga magsalita din doon sa sa corresponding ng article of impeachment. Nakita na rin nila yung mga documents, mas nililay-out na nitong House Prosecution Panel yung documents na kinakailangan para nga mas maayos nilang maipresenta itong articles of impeachment.
Well, the House Prosecution Panel is also considering the possible inclusion of hostile witnesses. Can you tell us more about it?
Actually, Angela, dyan naman sa hostile witnesses, syempre, kinakailangan daw kasi nilang mailatag ng mas maayos yung pagdating nga dito sa mga aligasyon laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte. So far, I would ask for more information about it para nga din mas makita natin kung ano nga ba yung magiging plano din ng House of Representatives or ng House Prosecution Panel pagdating nga dyan.
Alright, thank you so much. That was our mobile journalist, Amy Atienza.
Authorities are now tracking Senator Bato de la Rosa with the NBI presuming he is armed and dangerous. Here's the report.
Nalungkot ako. At the same time, medyo masaya rin kasi may kasama na yung tatay ko doon, ni Trevor Katilaban. It's a bad joke. It's a bad joke. But
That was the bad joke of Davao City Mayor Baste Duterte should his ally, Senator Bato de la Rosa, be arrested by the International Criminal Court. Baste made the remark after criticizing the government at the launch of the Rage Coalition for Mindanao and Davao City.
tingnan yung nangyari sa Senate. Nagputukan. Gusto na naman nila kunin si Bato, ipadala doon sa ICC.
De la Rosa has been considered a fugitive, and according to the NBI, he is presumed to be armed and dangerous.
Ang presumption namin lagi is armado yan. It's one of the major concern kasi nga galing siya sa law enforcement. So he knows how the law enforcement officers behave, kung paano siya itatrack or hahanapin.
In a statement, Attorney Israelito Torion said there is no factual basis to characterize the senator as armed and dangerous. Torion also insisted that De La Rosa has not violated the law. He added that no local court has issued an arrest warrant against the senator and argued that the ICC arrest warrant cannot be enforced on its own within Philippine territory. This despite the Department of Justice already ordering the enforcement of the ICC arrest warrant against the senator. De La Rosa's camp has also filed a motion for reconsideration after the Supreme Court denied their petition for a temporary restraining order or TRO against the ICC warrant of arrest.
We already filed the manifestation yesterday at around 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
And Trade Center evacuation.
Informing the Supreme
Welcome
Court
to the
of
Davao
supervision
Convention
events.
and Trade
And
Center
then
evacuation.
On Monday, we will
Familiarizing
await
yourself
the,
with
written
emergency
order
exits
of
and
the,
procedures can
Supreme
save
Court,
lives in
and
critical
we will,
situations.
study
This
the same
facility
and
features
thereafter
multiple
file a motion
exit
for
routes from the
reconsideration.
Grand Ball.
For now, the NBI has already deployed tracker teams to locate and arrest the senator. Authorities also warned that anyone who helps De La Rosa evade the arrest warrant may face legal liability.
It is Senator Padilla himself who confirmed na sa kanya sumakay, nakisakay sa kanya at ibinaba niya sa isang lugar. I think he's a responsible senator, responsible citizen na alam na niya na ngayon na dapat balagot sa batas.
Based on CCTV footage and the investigation, Senator Robin Padilla gave De La Rosa a ride out of the Senate premises before dawn on May 14, several hours after the shooting incident at the Senate. Padilla has admitted this. He said he dropped De La Rosa off in Makati where the senator was picked up by his own vehicle. But Padilla now says he no longer knows where De La Rosa is. Even Torreon said he had no contact with his client.
The last time that I had contact with him was perhaps an hour or 30 minutes before he exited from the Senate. After that, no contact anymore. But I am in constant contact with the members of the family, always.
De La Rosa had earlier said he would not surrender to the ICC, but the NBI has this warning.
Eventually, the law will catch up with you and the law enforcers will get you kung saan ka man naroroon.
NBI Director Melvin Matibag said the agency has received information that the International Criminal Court or ICC is set to issue more arrest warrants against alleged co-perpetrators of former President Rodrigo Duterte in connection with crimes against humanity cases. Matibag assured that the NBI is prepared to act alongside other law enforcement agencies once the government orders the enforcement of the warrants. He, however, declined to provide further details on the development. Meanwhile, former President Duterte will remain in detention in The Hague pending his trial. In an 8-page decision dated May 22, the ICC Trial Chamber 3 said there was no significant change in circumstances that would justify his release. The court also allowed Duterte to skip the first status conference of his case scheduled on May 27.
Joining us now is ICC accredited lawyer Gilbert Andres to help us understand the developments at the ICC. Attorney Andres, thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning, Angelo and Angela.
All right, attorney, si Director Matibag has announced also na more ICC arrest warrants daw can be expected soon. So how significant is this?
Well, it's significant in the sense that actually it's the policy announcement that was made by USEC Claire Castro that's significant in the sense that she said that any ICC arrest warrant will be implemented if it's issued. And that's significant because it means that there's no more delay in implementing it and it will be executed.
Now that the executive department is already clear on that area, nung kanilang mga procedure or guidelines on implementing this warrant, ito po bang mga lahat ng mga nakita po namin na initial list ng co-perpetrators wherein aside from Senator Bato de la Rosa, Senator Bongo, and other former PNP chiefs during the Duterte administration, lahat po ba sila makaka-receive ng kani-kanilang mga ICC arrest warrant?
Okay, two answers. Number one, it's logical to expect that the ICC will issue arrest warrants for the other named co-perpetrators. Number two, having said that, the process really in applying for a ICC arrest warrant is actually a sealed process, it's a secret process.
Yeah.
In fact, we have seen that case of Mr. Senator Bato that it was a sealed arrest warrant and then it was unsealed. So let's wait for that development.
Yeah, kasi nung November pa yun nung napag-usapan na meron daw siyang arrest warrant. But of course, attorney, there's still no decision on the main petition, doon po sa kung tama ba na makapag-cooperate ang Pilipinas sa International Criminal Court. But there are claims online that a final ruling has already been made. But are you confident that the SC will rule in the favor of the victims?
Well, okay. Just to be clear, I'm common legal representative of the victims before the ICC. Now, we haven't filed any intervention in the petition before the Supreme Court. Just to be clear.
You're right.
Number one, having said that, what was stated in the press conference of the Supreme Court is that today, May 25, the Supreme Court will issue the written resolution and the reasons for it. The written resolution on the denial of the TRO application as well as the denial of the status quo ante order. Now, for me, I really hope that the Supreme Court will see also the perspective and the lens of the victims, that they're crying and praying for justice for the victims of an international crime, crimes against humanity. And that context is really important. The ICC arrest warrant is for an international crime, crimes against humanity. It's also criminal here in the Philippines, and it's also criminal all over the world.
And Attorney, let's say nahuli si Senator Bato right before the Supreme Court makes a ruling on the main issue. Moving forward, do you think the Supreme Court should further make a ruling for future cases, and or is it moot and academic already?
Well, if it's future cases, the Supreme Court only decides on actual cases. It doesn't give decisions on hypothetical fact scenarios. So, but having said that, whatever will be the decision of the Supreme Court on the main case, that will actually guide future scenarios of the same facts.
That's true. But of course, Attorney, the ICC has allowed the former President Duterte to skip his administrative proceedings of his trial on May 27. But of course, ICC upheld his detention and he will remain in The Hague, no? Stating flight risk is now higher. So sa tingin niyo po ba, what were the strongest legal grounds behind the court's decision to keep the former president in The Hague? Yes, Attorney.
We have a problem ata with our signal, Attorney.
Well,
Ayun.
the strongest legal ground is that all of the charge. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead, Attorney.
Hello?
Yes. Can you hear
The
us?
strongest legal ground is that the charges, all of the charges were confirmed against Mr. Duterte. Therefore, this actually, based on ICC jurisprudence, this actually increases the risks of flight. That's why, in accordance with ICC jurisprudence, the detention of Mr. Duterte was affirmed by the trial chamber.
Of course, we would also want to know the comments, your comment and also the victims doon po sa naging pahayag over the weekend ni Senator Alan Peter Cayetano that the war on drugs of the Duterte administration is actually pro-life.
That's really false. That's really a form of disinformation. Why? Because it was actually against a gross violation of human rights. There were at least 6,000 admitted killed under police operations. And even the Commission on Human Rights and CSO cite that there were at least 30,000 murdered. Therefore, this is really gross violation of human rights. And in fact, it's tantamount to an international crime. Therefore, it's really, really erroneous for a sitting senator to say that this is to protect human rights. No, it's actually a transgression of human rights. And these people, as I said during the confirmation of charges hearing, these people who were murdered were also created in the image of God. Therefore, we should just fulfill the 6th commandment amongst the 10. Thou shalt not murder. And murder was committed here under the war on drugs.
Well, actually, si Cardinal Virgilio David criticized also that statement of the Senate President, saying na he actually, sinasabi niya parang may paglabag doon sa kanyang sinabi under Article 25 of the Rome Statute. This does not enjoy the protection of the free speech. Perhaps you can explain to us yung sinasabi po ni Cardinal David regarding this.
This is with respect
Doon po
to
sa sinabi
what article of the Rome Statute?
Article 25 when such words provide moral support that emboldens perpetrators and grants them a sense of impunity.
Well, I still have to check the Rome Statute, but suffice it to say na they should not be stated by a sitting senator because
Right.
senators are also under the law. They actually pass the law and they should be exemplars of respect for the law. And human rights, it's already in our Constitution. It's already in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. In fact, it's one of the cornerstone principles of our 1987 Constitution. Therefore, what should be stated is there should be respect for human rights, and any gross violations of human rights should be subject to accountability, such as being done right now in the ICC against Senator Bato de la Rosa.
Well, attorney, moving forward regarding naman ito yung yung manhunt, if that's what you can call it, kay Senator Bato de la Rosa. Now that it has been deemed he is indeed a fugitive from justice, ano ngayon ang dapat maging liability sa mga certain act or players within the Senate when they supposedly prevented his arrest initially?
Well, we have Presidential Decree 1829, obstruction of justice, and I think the relevant portion there is in Section 1, Paragraph C, and I will quote it verbatim, harboring or concealing or facilitating the escape of any person he knows or has reasonable ground to believe or suspect has committed any offense under existing penal laws in order to prevent his arrest, prosecution, and conviction. I think this is the relevant provision because, in fact, at that time, Mr. Senator Bato was in Senate protective custody. There's actually an ICC arrest warrant. So this is the relevant provision of obstruction of justice.
Alright, maraming salamat po muli sa inyong oras and for your insights, ICC accredited lawyer Gilbert Andres. Thank you so much and good morning. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on Mo News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. A building under construction collapses in Angeles City, Pampanga, leaving several people missing. Rescuers are now racing against time to find those still trapped under the rubble. Here's the report.
Residents in Barangay Balibago here in Angeles City were jolted awake by what felt like an earthquake and a loud rumbling sound early Sunday morning. A building under construction in the area had collapsed. The structure had already reached 9 floors. Several posts were also hit, leaving electrical wires dangling on the street. By sunrise, the extent of the damage became clear. Chunks of concrete were piled on top of each other. Steel bars were also scattered across the site. Resident Cristita was among those who survived the collapse. She sustained bruises and several scratches on her body.
Malakas po, akala po namin lindol. Kaya tumakbo na kami pag ganun.
Authorities estimate that at least 20 people may have been buried in the collapse.
Meron sila naririnig pong boses. Humihingi ng tulong po. Marami pa po. Hindi natin ma-determine kung gaano karami, no? Kaya medyo malalaman din natin. Kaya nga, ang gusto natin, ma-inventaryo po talaga yung mga tao, no? Kasi wala yung logbook, no? Para malaman natin kung ilan.
Several pieces of heavy equipment are on standby for the operation, but rescuers are digging manually to prevent another collapse.
Challenge dito, hindi lang sa search and rescue, pero challenge din to para naman hindi delikado at matrap yung mga rescuers natin. Siyempre, priority din natin yung safety ng mga rescuers natin, no? na kailangan safe din sila. So,
sniffing dogs are also being used to locate those who may be trapped under the rubble. But with the spaces so narrow, even Bureau of Fire Protection personnel are having difficulty rescuing the victims.
Katingin nyo na lang.
Oo. Relax lang, kuya.
Try natin muna dito.
May mga additional equipment tayong maipapahiram, maipagamit dito sa ating mga partners sa site. Meron kaming yung borescope, yung mga maliliit na butas, may mahaba kaming microphone na makarinig kung anong mga may signs of life. Tapos andyan din yung life detector natin, yung heartbeat monitor natin.
Some relatives could not help but worry about the condition of those who still trapped.
Sana po yung bilisan po nila yung proseso kasi po kanina pa
Tapos lagi namin sinasabi sa kanila na unahin dito, wala naman pumupunta. Kasi maghintay lang daw, maghintay. Hanggang kailan po kami maghihintay?
Last night, the BFP confirmed that a Malaysian national died in the incident. His body was recovered in a nearby building that was only affected by the collapse. 20 others remain missing from the collapsed building.
Joining us now is Jay Pelayo, head of the Angeles City Information Office, for the latest on the building collapse in Barangay Balibago and the ongoing search and rescue operation. Sir Jay, thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning po, and thank you for having me.
Alright, Sir Jay, ano po yung latest update natin on the ongoing search and rescue operations?
As of 10 a.m. this morning po, we have 4 number of deaths. Just recently po, we retrieved yung 4th casualty, who is believed to be one of the vendors on site during the collapse of this structure. So we still have around 16 missing number of persons, and the search for rescue is still ongoing.
Mayroon pa tayong survivors, Sir Jay?
Yan po ngayon ang ine-exhaust po natin lahat ng resources na meron po tayo, katulad ng mga K9 units and yung thermal scanning to search for any signs of life. Yesterday we were a bit optimistic kasi nakakausap po namin yung mga nasa baba na mga victims pa. Yung kaninang madaling araw po, we were able to successfully retract yung second na victim. Kaso po, he expired after being rescued. Yung third po kaninang before 7 a.m., nakuha po natin yung body niya. Nagkaroon po ng cardiac arrest while he was being rescued sa baba. And itong 4th casualty po, siya po ay isang vendor.
Right. But do we already know what may have caused the building to collapse, Sir Jay?
Ongoing pa ho itong mga investigations na ginagawa. So far, ang site engineering pa lamang ang nakakausap natin dito. Yung mga owners po at saka yung contractor hindi pa natin nakakausap.
And with regard, Sir Jay, sa rescue ongoing operations nyo, ano po yung mga nagiging roadblocks or challenges to find hopefully the remaining survivors?
Given po itong gravity ng itong laki ng structure, it's a proposed 9-story structure. Mahirap po yung pag-penetrate ng ating mga rescuers. Kasi anytime na pag meron silang minumove na halimbawa scaffolding or mga metal tubes, gumagalaw yung rubble, So isa po yun sa mga challenges na consistent na hinaharap ng mga rescuers natin. Dagdag pa ho pag mainit po yung sikat ng araw, pahirapan po dito, kaya po isa po 'yon sa mga mga challenges natin.
I remember po over the weekend meron pong dalawa na kinakausap pa po doon sa ilalim po ng gumuho na gusali. Ngayon po ba kamusta po yung dalawang individual na 'yon?
Yung po unfortunately yung mga nakasama sa ating mga casualties, last night nakakausap natin sila. One of our doctors was able to go inside kung nasaan yung mga victims natin. Our doctor was able to insert IV fluid doon sa isa sa mga victims. We were really optimistic kagabi until dumating itong madaling araw. Nag-deteriorate yung kanilang health. At unfortunately, ngayon nga kasama na sila dun sa bilang ng casualty natin.
How old na po to, Sir Jay, yung mga victims? And yung cause of death nila is related sa nangyari sa pagguho, no?
Opo.
Well, of course, we would also like to know na ngayong araw po, tuloy-tuloy lamang po yung inyong gagawing search and rescue operations. Tama po ba? And kailan po ba tayo dadating dun sa punto na retrieval operations? Of course, we are hoping now na tuloy-tuloy po yung search and rescue operations.
Tama po kayo. Kaya nga po ginagawa natin lahat. Very crucial itong panahon na ito. Nakadeploy po yung mga K9 units natin, thermal scanning. Ginagawa rin po natin to detect any signs of life. No? Ang magiging challenge lang po natin dito, yung paano yung pag-reach dun sa level na matutuntun natin kung nasaan itong mga victims po natin. Until such time na pag malabo na po yung talagang wala na tayong makikitang signs of life, doon pa lang po natin maaaring i-consider yung retrieval and clearing operation.
Ito pong mga equipment na dinala po dyan from Manila to Pampanga, like yung heartbeat detector and yung LRAD, meron na po ba sila mga na-detect na signs of life under the rubble?
Yes po, ginagamit po sila sabay-sabay, kasalukuyan. Yes po, meron po silang mga nade-detect. Kabilang na rin po yung mga pinadala ring mga K9 unit. Meron din silang mga nade-detect po. At ito po yung malaking tulong rin, pati yung mga iba pang mga equipment, katulad ng mga hydraulic mga equipment. Nang sa ganun, hindi lang yung mga victims yung napupuntahan natin, medyo nase-secure din natin kahit paano yung ating mga rescuer.
Meron po ba mga apektado po ngayon ng mga residente within that area? Gaano po ba kalawak yung perimeter po, yung security na ginagawa po ninyo para to make sure na wala naman po madamay na ibang mga residente po dyan sa mga operations na ginagawa po ninyo? Baka mabagsakan, di ba, pagdaan nila. Sir Jay?
Yes po. We activated itong unified command system. Secured po ito. Our RO or responsible official is Mayor John Lasatino of Angeles City. Ang sa operations po is led by DFP. Ang sa security naman po ay ang PNP. At pagdating sa logistics ay ang DRRM. Naka-secure po ito kaya lagi po namin panawagan sa publiko na makipag-cooperate po sa mga authorities ng sa ganun hindi maantala itong ginagawang operation at hindi na rin po makadagdag kung baka madamay pa sila sa mga sa mga ginagawang operasyon. Meron pong tama po kayo, meron pong ibang mga ilan na near the area na apektado. Pero nagawa na rin po ng paraan, gumawa tayo ng access para yung mga naninirahan na malapit doon, makatawid sila ng maayos.
Sir Jay, siyempre nagsabi na rin po ang Pag-asa ng severe heat warnings all over the metro tsaka sa Luzon. Prepared na ba po yung rescue teams for this? Kasi I know it's gonna make it difficult because bakal din yung mga karamihan ng mga debris dyan, and of course, alam natin yung bakal, nag-absorb ng heat yan.
Tama po kayo. May mga elements po na kino-consider din natin. Nagpapasalamat po tayo sa overwhelming support ng mga various government agencies, mga LGUs na pumupunta rin po dito offering their assistance and expertise. Kagabi nga po, umabot tayo sa halos over 900 running responders coming from different agencies and LGUs. Kaya kahit paano nakakawala po ng pagod yung binibigay nilang support na bayanihan dito.
And so far, Sir Jay, would you say you have all you need right now to make this rescue an easy task for our rescuers? Or may kulang pa ba na gamit, gamot, or anything that you need at least pwedeng ipanawagan sa ibang agency ng government?
So far po because of the overwhelming support ng mga national government agencies and LGUs, more than enough po yung binigay nilang assistance sa amin. Actually, binabawasan na nga po namin starting today yung mga workforce, mga responders po natin para kung sakaling mga ilangan, at least meron pong naka-standby na pwedeng pumalit sa ibang mga exhausted na responders.
Well, DPWH and MMDA are both there. Tama po ba? Pero sir, tanong ko lang din po kasi kanina nabanggit niyo po ang may-ari ay hindi pa po nakakausap. I was wondering bakit hindi pa po nakakausap. Sila po ba ay hindi nakikipag-coordinate sa local government regarding this issue? Kasi syempre we want to know kung ano po yung po pwede nilang maibigay din doon sa mga biktima nitong kanilang pagguho nito ng kanilang building. And of course, yung accountability, most importantly.
Kahapon naman po, nagpadala sila ng kanilang representative, I believe mga kaibigan po yata ng owner, no? At ipinaabot po sa LGU na nasa out of the country po yata yung owner ng property, no? Yung site engineer was also here yesterday. Siya po yung nagbigay ng mga list ng mga personnel na mga construction workers, no? Kaya nagkaroon kami ng idea kung ano yung mga pangalan at kung mga ilan, no, yung mga inaasahan natin na natrap doon sa rubble. Pero other than that po, wala pa rin po, hindi pa rin namin nakakausap personally yung owner, pati po yung contractor ng nasabing proyekto.
Okay, so kanina po nabanggit nyo din that there are 16 missing pa rin po doon sa pagguho nga nitong building na ito. Meron po bang lumalapit sa inyo na meron din pong sakasakali hinahanap po yung kanilang mga kaanak na maaaring nasa loob din po nitong gumuhong
Out of
building
the 16.
out of the 16 na nasa listahan po ninyo?
Tama po kayo, ma'am, no? Ito pong pang-apat na casualty ay hindi siya part, no, doon sa mga construction workers. Ito yung isa sa mga vendors na pinangangambahan na nating nadamay doon sa pagbuho nitong ginagawang gusali, no. So, meron pa hong ilang mga kaanak na naghihintay, no, na nagke-claim na baka kasama yung kanilang mga kaanak na nagtitinda rin doon sa ilalim ng structure.
Paano po ba yung pagbagsak nitong building? Ano daw pong direksyon?
Ito pong ginagawang gusali, ang pagpunat po nito ay parang pancake, no? Papunta sa daan, paharap po. Oo. So, yung pong mga nasa daanan, yung mga nagtitinda sa may harap, yun po yung mga maaaring talagang maapektuhan dito sa pagguho.
Meron din po bang ibang mga struktura na naapektuhan nitong pagguho? Kasi sabi nyo nga po, pancake yung niya pabagsak niya
Kahit po na paharap yung orientation ng pagguho, meron pa rin part doon sa side na tinamaan, no? Isa itong parang maliit na hotel, parang apartel type, kung saan doon po yung nakuha nating first casualty yesterday. Isa po itong Malaysian national na nangungupahan po doon sa taas ng bandang taas ng hotel ng katabi nitong gumuhong structure. Siya po yung unang na-retrieve kahapon at siya yung casualty number 1 ng pangyayaring ito.
Okay. Also, of course, ano po yung pahayag ng mga kamag-anak po ng mga naipit po dyan, natabunan ng building na yan?
Yes po, we understand yung kanilang hinaing, mga nararamdaman nila. Of course, naghihintay sila hoping sana buhay pa yung kanilang mga kaanak. Kaya we in the local government are also doing our best, no? Pero may proseso po kasi ito, hindi naman basta-basta pupunta ka doon at talagang basta magtatanggal na lang ng debris, no? Meron pong mga experts, dumaan po sila sa training, dumaan po sa incident command system. Yan po ang ipinapatupad ngayon ng command post po, no? This is a multi-agency system na, no? At in sync po ang paggalaw dito. So ang panawagan lang po namin is kahit we understand them, pero sana po maintindihan din po ang mga kasama natin sa public service sa pagsasagawa ng kanilang tungkulin.
But we understand nga po na meron po talagang kailangan procedure na gawin, dapat dahan-dahan, etc. Pero may nakikita po ba kayong, kumbaga parang ilang araw po ba dapat ma-clear itong area na to para po agad-agad po marespondihan kung sakasakali nga po yung ating mga kababayan na natrap po sa ilalim?
Opo, the first priority po talaga is to look for survivors, no, and rescue them, no. After doon, pag na-exhaust na lahat at pag wala na tayong makitang pa lang tayo mag-proceed to the next na sa pag-retrieve at pag-clear po using our heavy equipment.
All right, thank you for that, Jay Pelayo, head of the Angeles City Information Office, for all the info you have given us.
Thank you. Good morning.
More than 7,000 residents were left homeless after a massive fire tore through Parola compound in Del Pan, Binondo, Manila on Saturday. For the latest, let's bring in our mobile journalist, Francis Rivera. Francis, go ahead.
Yes, good morning Angela and Jericho. Ngayon andito nga tayo sa ground zero nitong Parola compound kung saan niya talagang halos sa tupok lahat ng kabahayan dito sa ating kinakatayuan. No? Gaya na nga lang dito sa may likod na to. No? Ito, tabi na to mismo or malapit na to mismo doon sa may dagat ng Manila Bay. At kitang-kita naman natin na halos wala na. Ay pulbos at halos mga pundasyon na lamang, yero, at yun na lang yung mga natira dito sa mga bahay, no, na natupok ng sunog. Sa 10 hours kasi tumagal ito, no, 10 hours bago maapula yung sunog nitong Sabado. At hanggang ngayon under investigation pa rin at inaalam kung saan or ano talaga yung naging mitsa or sanghi nitong sunog na tumupok nga dito sa mga kabahayan dito sa Parola compound.
All right, thank you for that, mobile journalist Francis Rivera.
In other news, Pag-asa is monitoring a low-pressure area outside the Philippine Area of Responsibility. It was last spotted 1,515 kilometers east of northeastern Mindanao. Mindanao will have cloudy skies with scattered rains and thunderstorms due to the trough of the LPA. The rest of the country will experience partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers or thunderstorms.
Don't go away because we're not done yet. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. Joining us now is Attorney Salvador Panelo, legal counsel of former President Rodrigo Duterte, to discuss the ICC case, the arrest of the former president, and legal options available to Senator Bato de la Rosa. Attorney, thank you very much for joining us.
Hi, Attorney. Good morning. Nice to see you. Attorney, can you hear us?
Nawawala kayo. I lost you.
Can you hear us now?
Now I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Don't worry, Attorney. We can see you naman.
We can see you naman. Oo.
Well, Attorney...
I can see the handsome couple.
I see, Attorney. Oy, Attorney, I saw a video of yours. Some sort of giving advice to Attorney Torion. Ano pong advice itong sinasabi nyo, Attorney?
Kasi nung nandun ako nung gabi ng Tuesday, I told Senator Bato na mag-file siya ng habeas corpus proceedings. Kasi pag, pag yung ipapile mo, certiorari, yung ito mamparo, matagal yon. Samantalang pag habeas corpus, 24 hours, may re-resolve kagad ng Korte Suprema. Kasi yun ang nakalagay sa rules.
Yes.
Pag yung ibang petisyon, nakalagay rin sa rules, papasagutin mo pa ng katakot-takot, magtatagal kahit di mo hanggang ngayon wala. Samantalang noon, sabi ko, right now, you are being deprived of liberty. May restraints sa'yo eh. Kasi under the rulings in the Supreme Court, specifically yung COPA versus Enrile, sabi ng Supreme Court doon, any restraint that precludes movement or action, restraint yun. And at that time, talaga may restraint sa kanya. Nakapasok nga siya, pero hindi na siya makalabas. Kasi may nagbabanta, may nakaambas sa kanyang warrant of arrest na kini-question niya before the Supreme Court.
So, attorney, itong sinasabi niyong habeas corpus, dapat ginawa rin to sa panahon ni former President Duterte. Do you think parang two mistakes in a row ito?
Yun nga, hindi lang sinasabi ko sa kanila, no. Sabi ko nga doon sa abogado, nagkamali na kayo nung una. Kasi ang pinail nila ng certiorari. Ako, wala pa ako noon nasa Hong Kong pa ako. Kaya nang malaman ko yun ng alas 3 sa madaling araw na yun ay papile nila, nasa Hong Kong pa ako noon Sabi ko, mali yan, file kayo, habeas corpus. Pero hindi naman nila sinunod. So, nang dumating ako ng hapon, mga alas 2 na ako dumating sa, alam ko na yata, na-file na nila sa umaga. Kaya dali-dali akong gumawa ng habeas corpus noong hapon. Pero by that time, isinakay na sa aeroplano. But ganun pa rin, tinayan ko pa rin yun sapagkat sabi ko, ang jurisdiction ng hukuman ay hindi naman sa ICC ang pinag-uusapan. Ng jurisdiction over the government. And at that time, nasa aeroplano pa siya na pag-aari ng Pilipinas. Kaya may jurisdiction. And not only that, kahit na nasa labas ng bansa, ang isang mamamayang Pilipino, ang Korte Suprema ay palaging may jurisdiction pag ang isang opisyal ng bansa ay gagawa ng kamalian o labag sa batas. Sapagkat yung pagkakamali mo o paglabag mo sa batas ay susundan ka niya kahit saan kang lupalupok pumunta. Kaya may jurisdiction ang hukuman.
Opo. Pero attorney, hindi po ba risky din po kung sakasakali itong habeas corpus? Kasi let's say for example, yun po yung final, yung kay Senator Bato de la Rosa. Tapos ang ruling po ng Supreme Court doon ay hindi po favorable sa kanya. So right there, pwede siyang kunin, dakpin because of that ICC warrant.
Ay, hindi ba sinabi niya, kung ano sinabi ng Korte Suprema, susundin ko. So whether for or against, he will follow the law.
So ang tanong ngayon, attorney, so in the meantime, may rejected yung TRO and pag hinuli si Senator Bato and napadala ka agad sa Hague and biglang nag-ruling ang Supreme Court, paano po ito? Ano po mangyayari?
Unang-una, let me correct you there. Marami nagkakamali doon na nireject ang TRO. Hindi naman ni-reject eh. Hindi lang ni-resolve nila yung TRO. Walang nakalagay doon na we're rejecting the TRO or granting it. Ang sinasabi nila na sumagot kayo rito but without prejudice to us making any necessary action in connection with this case. So kung pwede rin na mag-issue sila ng TRO in between yung mga sagot ninyo at ngayon. Kaya hindi totoo na ni-reject. There was no denial nor was a direct grant.
Pero dun po sa naging desisyon nga po ng SC, 951 on the TRO request, ano po sa tingin niyo po? Divided po ba talaga yung desisyon? And can we also, kumbaga tignan ito na messaging ito ng Korte Suprema na medyo ang magiging ruling nila doon sa main petition ay favorable po doon sa kailangan makipag-coordinate ang gobyerno sa International Court?
Tingnan natin yung yung importante kasi, ang nangyayari kasi, yung mga advocates ng application ng 9851, hindi nila tinitingnan o kahit na nakikita nila, ayaw nilang i-apply kasi kontra. Galit sila kay Duterte, galit sila kay Bato. Ano ba nakalagay sa, siguro, let us read exactly the provision.
Yes, attorney.
Yun ang unang-una, in the interest
Attorney?
investigation or prosecution. Tingnan mo may dispense. Hindi mandatory hindi sinabing shall dispense.
May.
Yun lang. Meron na kagad na kulatilla. If another court or alternate tribunal is investigating or prosecuting the same. Instead, ang gagawin nila, that is an option Pwede na lang isurrender o isuko yung taong nag-commit ng crime against humanity. Pero meron pang kulatilla, in accordance with extradition laws and other laws related to the same. Ibig sabihin, if you will notice, dalawa ang kulatilla, in the interest of justice at saka in accordance with the laws. Bago mo ma-exercise yung pag-surrender o pag-extradite, you have to consider whether what you are doing is in the interest of justice or whether that is in accordance with our law. Now, ang tingin ko dyan, yung dalawang kondisyon na yon ay nakabatay sa due process clause of the Constitution. Kasi sinasabi lang, hindi, batas yan. Batas nga yan. But all laws enacted by Congress can be nullified as null and void and ultra vires if they violate the Constitution. In this particular grant of authority, this is the grant of authority. But kailangan it is in the interest of justice and in accordance with law. And the Constitution says, no person shall be deprived of liberty without due process of law. And due process of law strikes at the very core of the enforcement of a warrant of arrest. Why? Kasi biro mo, isusuko mo lang, ano yan, manok? Ano yan? Aso na isusoli mo lang? You are talking of a liberty of a person. Kaya kailangan, idaan mo yan sa due process. What does due process mean? It only means simply that you do not judge before na hindi mo pa naririnig ang kanyang side. It hears before it condemns. Kaya nga meron tayong court. That is why the Constitution says, hindi po pwede ka mag-issue ng warrant, aresto ka, nang hindi dinidetermine ng judge personally, personally, na mayroong probable cause. Hindi yung ginagawa yan doon sa ICC. Kaya, dapat, ang ating batas, ang ipairal natin, at maliwanag din ng Section 17, in the interest of justice. So the question is it in the interest of justice that you surrender a person without passing through due process and arrest, detain, and itapon mo yan sa ICC? Is it in the interest of justice?
Okay. Attorney, I think isa din po sa sinasabi ng panig nila Bato, ni Senator Bato.
Justice, that you surrender sovereignty. Because by doing that, sinusuko mo yung sovereignty mo. Why? Malaya tayong bansa. May sarili tayong sistema legal. Bakit di natin pinapairal dito?
Oo. What about yung pong Article 59 daw po ng Rome Statute? Yan po ay isa din po sa ini-invoke ng kampo ni Senator Bato de la Rosa. But that cannot be the best, argument because we're not part of the Rome Statute anymore.
Hindi. Ang pinaka-argument talaga dapat, it contravenes the due process clause of the Constitution if you do not follow the kulatilla there, the conditions, that it should be in the interest of justice at saka in accordance with law. Yung dalawang yon, ang basis nun ay yung due process. Kailangan talagang dumaan ka sa due process. At pag sinabi mong due process, kailangan nasa hukuman. Hukuman natin. Yung isang dating dekano, natatawa nga ako, sabi niya, nakalagay doon, judge. Wala naman sinasabi na foreign judge o kaya Filipino judge, kaya pwede foreign judge. Jesus Mariosep. Sa ligang batas natin yon. So, ibig sabihin, applicable yan dito sa ating bansa. Kasi nilagay nga doon, judicial power is vested with the Supreme Court and other lower.
Yes, Attorney?
Judges. Kasi galit lang sa Duterte. Kaya ang mga interpretasyon nila ay tungo doon sa pakontra.
Attorney, argument ng iba na hindi daw foreign court ang ICC. It is an international court daw. I've heard that argument kasi also.
Kahit Hindi pa rin Philippine Court, international court. Ganun pa rin yun. Kahit anong animal tawag mo doon, it's not the Philippine Court. And the Constitution speaks of the Philippine Court. It speaks of a Philippine judge determining probable cause. Personally, it speaks of a Philippine court hearing your case. It doesn't speak of an international court or international tribunal.
Well, Attorney, I've heard your arguments and very unique arguments indeed. Nakipag-usap ba kayo kay Senator Bato at bakit hindi na lang po kayo ang humawak sa kaso niya?
Unang-una, hindi ako nagpipresenta. Kung pukonsultahin mo ako, bibigyan kita. Kinuha mo ako, hindi kita sisingilin dahil yung mga ganyang kaso, hindi ako talaga naniningil dyan. Dahil yan para sa human rights natin yan Pangalawa, nagbigay na nga ako ng ng libreng konsultasyon ng binisita ko. Kasi sabi ko sa kanya, kasi yung abogado niya, sinasabing,
Attorney?
Kailangan, merong dinideprive ng liberty, nakakulong. Masyado nilang tinignan yung literal na nakakulong at kinulong ng isang law enforcement officer. Hindi ganon. Generally yon. But the Supreme Court has already ruled any action or any movement that is restricted is already a restraint of your liberty. So you can. So sabi ng abogado, sabi niya, paano yung sino ididimanda mo doon? Sino pa ididimanda mo? Di yung NBI, kahit na nakakulong nga siya, kasi sabi niya, hindi naman nakakulong yan. Hindi nga nakakulong. Tanungin natin ka kung Senator Bato. I asked him in front of all of them, Senator Bato, can you leave these premises? Sabi niya, no. Oh, you see, you are being restrained. Why can you not leave? Kasi nakaabang din yung warrant of arrest na kini-question ko. Exactly. Kaya habeas corpus dapat. Para matapos sa kagad yan. Hindi matagal.
Well, Attorney, of course, I would like to ask you din po if you agree doon sa naging statement ni Senator Alan Peter Cayetano over the weekend that actually the anti-drug war campaign of the Duterte administration is actually pro-life campaign.
Totoo naman yung sinasabi niya kasi hindi ba, bakit ba nagkaroon ng war against drugs? Kasi nga, the drug pagsira ng mga pamilya. Ang daming namamatay because of that. Kaya, you have to launch war against it to save lives.
Alright, we have so many questions but unfortunately we don't have much time.
Sana
kasi
maulit.
Late ka na dumating, Attorney. Dapat mga 10
Kanina pa.
Dapat mga 10 a.m.
Yan. Ang sabi ng staff nyo, 10:45.
Ay, ganun ba? Pero available ka ng 10 a.m.
Pangalawa, may programa rin ako,
Ayun
9:30 to 10:30.
Ayun pala. So after 10:30,
Susunod,
pwede
10:30
na
lang.
Attorney.
Alright, thank
Sige.
you so much for your time, Attorney Salvador
Thank you.
Panelo, Legal Counsel of former President Rodrigo Duterte.
Actually, very jolly
Oo, hindi, I have so much question kasi like yung reaction niya din doon sa nangyaring shooting incident sa Senado. Was it right na kasama ba si Senator Antonio Trillanes ng NBI? So, magpa-part 2 tayo kay Attorney Sal.
Magpa-part 2 definitely. Nandiyan pa si Attorney Sal sa gilid Attorney part 2 ha. Alright. Thank you, and that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Alunsad Castro.
I'm Angelo Castro III, kapatid. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.